Welcome back my great coin collectors, and thank you so much for joining this video today. I'm genuinely excited that you're here, because what we're about to explore is one of the most fascinating stories in modern American coinage. Today's journey is about a single coin that most people have seen, spent, or ignored without a second thought, yet one that has sparked endless curiosity, debate, and imagination among collectors and enthusiasts. We're talking about the Liberty Quarter Dollar dated 1965, a United States coin with a face value of just 25 cents, but one that, under extraordinary circumstances, has been discussed as being worth as much as $224 million due to rare errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, and incredible possibilities that separate it completely from ordinary pocket change. At first glance, the 1965 quarter looks simple, even boring. It's a coin that belongs to everyday life, a piece of metal that has passed through countless hands, vending machines, cash registers, and coin jars. Many people alive today have held one without ever considering its story. Yet 1965 is one of the most important years in the history of United States coinage, and that alone makes this quarter special. It was the year everything changed. Before 1965, United States quarters were made of 90% silver. That silver content gave them intrinsic value, weight, and a distinct sound and feel. Rising silver prices in the early 1960s made it too expensive for the government to continue producing circulating silver coins. As a result, the Coinage Act of 1965 was passed, fundamentally transforming American money. Quarters, dimes, and half dollars were redesigned internally, switching from silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition. The 1965 quarter sits exactly at this turning point in history, making it a coin born in transition, uncertainty, and massive change. The official design of the 1965 quarter features George Washington on the obverse, continuing the familiar look introduced decades earlier. On the reverse, the eagle remains, strong and symbolic. On paper, there is nothing extraordinary about the design. But behind the scenes, the minting process in 1965 was anything but ordinary. The U.S. Mint was under intense pressure to produce massive quantities of new clad coins to replace the disappearing silver coins that people were hoarding. Speed became a priority, and when speed increases, the chance for mistakes increases as well. One of the most important facts about 1965 quarters is that none of them were supposed to have mint marks. To discourage collectors from hoarding coins by mint, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from all coins dated 1965, 1966, and 1967. That means number 1965 quarter should officially carry a P, D, or S mint mark. This single fact alone opens the door to some of the most exciting and controversial possibilities in modern numismatics. If a genuine 1965 quarter were discovered with a mint mark, it would immediately become one of the most important error coins in American history. The presence of a mint mark on a coin that was never meant to have one would raise enormous questions. How did it happen? Was an old die accidentally used? Was a transitional die modified incorrectly? Was there an experimental strike that escaped the mint? Each question adds to the mystery, and in numismatics, mystery often fuels value. Mint mark errors are among the most sought-after varieties in coin collecting. A 1965 quarter with a clear and verifiable mint mark would not just be rare, it would be revolutionary. It would challenge established records and force experts to re-examine long-held assumptions about mint procedures. If such a coin were authenticated and confirmed, its uniqueness or near uniqueness could justify valuations that seem unbelievable to the average person. When collectors with deep pockets compete for a coin that rewrites history, price limits can disappear. Another powerful factor in the potential extreme value of a 1965 quarter lies in the possibility of silver composition errors. During the transition from silver to clad coinage, both types of planchets were present in mint facilities. This created a narrow window where mistakes could occur. A 1965 quarter struck on a leftover silver planchet from 1964 would be one of the most famous transitional errors imaginable. Such coins are known to exist for dimes and quarters, but they are incredibly rare. A genuine 1965 silver quarter would look almost identical to a regular quarter at first glance, but it would weigh more and contain precious metal. The discovery of such a coin would immediately place it among the most valuable modern U.S. coins. Now imagine if such a silver error coin also featured additional anomalies, such as a mint mark, double die, or major strike error. The combination of multiple rare factors is what pushes values into extraordinary territory. Double die errors are another cornerstone of extreme. Now, we're diving deep into the Liberty Quarter Dollar dated 1985 with the D mint mark, a United States coin that most people would glance at and think is worth no more than 25 cents. Yet under rare and remarkable circumstances, this same coin has been discussed as being worth as much as $217 million, a value so shocking that it forces us to completely rethink what money, rarity, and history really mean. At first sight, the 1985 D quarter seems like a simple product of modern America. It feels familiar, almost invisible, because millions of these coins passed through daily life in the 1980s. They jingled in pockets, sat in car cup holders, dropped into arcade machines, and paid for phone calls and parking meters. This was a time before digital payments, when coins were still a constant companion. But within that massive production and everyday use lies the possibility of incredible mistakes, minting anomalies, and rare conditions that transform a common coin into a once-in-a-generation discovery. To understand why the 1985 D quarter holds such dramatic potential, we first need to understand the era in which it was produced. The mid-1980s were a period of high output for the United States Mint. The economy was growing, consumer spending was strong, and the demand for circulating coinage was enormous. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark, was operating at full speed, striking hundreds of millions of coins each year. When production numbers rise to such levels, quality control is challenged, and that is when mistakes are most likely to slip through unnoticed. The design of the 1985 quarter follows the familiar Washington quarter format. George Washington's profile appears on the front, dignified and calm, with the word Liberty above and the date below. On the reverse, the heraldic eagle spreads its wings, a symbol of national strength and continuity. Nothing about the design itself suggests rarity, but value in numismatics often comes not from what was intended, but from what went wrong. One of the most powerful drivers of extreme value in modern coins is the presence of major mint errors. These errors are not minor imperfections or signs of wear. They are fundamental mistakes that occurred during the minting process, creating coins that should not exist at all. For the 1985 D quarter, several categories of errors are known, and others remain theoretical but possible, each carrying the potential for extraordinary value if discovered in the right form. Mint mark errors are among the most intriguing possibilities. The D mint mark on a Denver struck quarter is normally small and precise. However, errors involving mint marks can take many forms. A repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark is stamped into the die more than once, leaving visible doubling or overlapping impressions. These errors can sometimes be subtle, but strong examples are highly sought after by collectors. A dramatic repunched D on a 1985 quarter would immediately elevate its value far beyond face value. Even more exciting is the possibility of a missing or misplaced mint mark. A genuine 1985 quarter struck at the Denver Mint but lacking its D mint mark would raise serious questions. How did the mint mark fail to appear? Was the die improperly prepared? Was an unfinished die used by mistake? Such errors are rare, and when authenticated, they attract intense interest. A misplaced mint mark, where the D appears in an unusual location, would be even more astonishing, as it would suggest a significant deviation from standard minting procedures. Another category of errors with massive potential impact is double die varieties. Double dies occur during the creation of the die itself, not during the striking of the coin. This means every coin struck from that die will show the same doubling. On a 1985 D quarter, doubling might appear on the date, the word Liberty, the motto In God We Trust, or the details of Washington's face. Strong double die errors are visually striking and cannot be dismissed as simple machine doubling. Machine doubling, which results from vibration or die bounce during striking, is common and carries little value. True double die errors, however, show rounded, distinct doubling that is part of the design itself. If a previously unknown double die variety were discovered on a 1985 D quarter, especially one with bold and obvious features, it could instantly become one of the most important modern quarter errors ever found. Planchet errors also play a major role in the story of extreme coin values. A planchet is the blank metal disc that is struck to create a coin. Errors involving planchets can produce some of the most dramatic and valuable coins imaginable. A quarter struck on the wrong planchet might be thinner, thicker, lighter, or heavier than normal. It might even be struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or a foreign coin. Imagine a 1985 D quarter struck on a. My dears, our today's third history is one that sounds almost unbelievable at first, yet it has captured the imagination of collectors around the world for years. We are talking about the 1996 P Liberty quarter dollar of the United States, a coin with a face value of just 25 cents, but one that has been rumored, debated, and passionately discussed as having the potential to reach a mind-blowing value of up to $203 million under extremely rare and extraordinary circumstances. This is not just a story about money. It is a story about mistakes, human error, minting mysteries, rarity, and how history sometimes hides its greatest surprises in plain sight. At first glance, the 1996 P Liberty quarter dollar looks like an ordinary coin. Millions of people have held similar quarters in their hands without giving them a second thought. They are used to buy snacks, tossed into jars, lost under couch cushions, or forgotten in old drawers. But collectors know something most people do not. Coins are more than metal. They are historical documents, industrial products, and sometimes accidents frozen in time. And when accidents happen at the highest levels of precision, such as the United States Mint, the results can be astonishing. The year 1996 itself already holds a special place in American numismatic history. It marked the 200th anniversary of the United States Mint, founded in 1792. To celebrate this milestone, the Mint produced special commemorative coins, including quarters with distinctive features. Among these was the 1996 W quarter struck at the West Point Mint, released only in special mint sets. That fact alone already makes 1996 quarters a year of heightened interest. But today, our focus is not on the famous West Point issue. Instead, we are looking at the Philadelphia Mint version, the 1996 P Liberty quarter dollar, and how under extremely rare conditions, it could theoretically become one of the most valuable coins ever imagined. The Philadelphia Mint traditionally does not use a mint mark on many of its coins, but starting in later years, a small p began appearing to indicate Philadelphia production. The presence or absence of a mint mark, its placement, its size, its clarity, or its complete distortion can play a massive role in a coin's value. In the case of the 1996 P quarter, collectors have long speculated about mint mark errors that could elevate the coin from a common circulation piece to a legendary rarity. One of the most talked about possibilities involves the concept of a wrong mint mark error. Imagine a 1996 quarter that somehow displays a mint mark that does not belong there, such as a W for West Point or even an S for San Francisco, but paired with characteristics that clearly identify it as a Philadelphia strike. If such a coin were authenticated, showing undeniable evidence that it was struck at Philadelphia but carries a mint mark from another facility due to a die error, contamination, or accidental die swap, the numismatic world would be shaken. Coins like this are not supposed to exist. When something exists that is not supposed to exist, value skyrockets. Another powerful factor is the idea of double die errors. A double die occurs when a die receives multiple misaligned impressions during its creation. This can cause doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. On a Liberty quarter, doubling on the word Liberty, the date 1996, or the motto "In God We Trust" could dramatically increase value. Minor doubling already commands premiums. But imagine extreme, dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye across multiple design elements, combined with other errors. Such a coin would be considered unique or nearly unique. Now consider off-metal errors. Quarters are supposed to be struck on copper-nickel-clad planchets. But what if a 1996 P quarter was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, or even on a foreign planchet, or a silver planchet, or a blank of experimental composition? The U.S. Mint has experimented with metals over the years, and occasionally, wrong planchets have slipped into production. A 1996 quarter struck on solid silver, gold, or an unknown alloy, especially if tied to experimental testing, could reach astronomical values. Then there are blockage errors, where one coin becomes stuck to a die and impresses its design onto another blank coin. This results in a mirror image impression on one side. Brockages are dramatic and visually stunning. While many brockage coins exist, a full brockage combined with other errors, such as an off-center strike or double denomination, could push a coin into legendary territory. Off-center strikes themselves are another area of fascination. If a coin is not properly aligned during striking, part of the design may be missing. Mild off-center strikes are collectible. But a perfectly dramatic off-center strike that still shows the full date and mint mark, combined with other